Hey everybody, it's Deirdre. I have been going through hundreds, well over 300 responses to the questions I raised, asking people about what they're dealing with right now through all this. And I mean, I have pages and pages of notes of what people have said, and so I'm deeply interested. And I think I've only gotten through a portion of them right now because people are like have so much to say, which is key. I want to know. I want to see it, hear it, feel it. I want to know, because my whole goal is to take what you all are saying and put it together into this free webinar that I'm doing and the training that I'm doing. So please feel free. If you haven't done it, go ahead, do it. I think I posted the link, dfay.com/calm. But love to have your feedback so I can just add all this in there. So I'm looking at distilling it into 3 ways that we can work with calm and work with the stress and anxiety that we're in. So I went back to some of the research and actually was thinking about the research of Beatrice Beebe. She is a great researcher on infant development and attachment. And she and her colleague, especially Frank Lockman, talk a lot about the sense of rhythm that happens in connection. And I was thinking about that and thinking about the simple ways that we signal to ourselves and get the signal from other people that everything is okay. So let's try this on, because I was thinking what could be a simple practice that you could use in your everyday life. And what Beatrice Beebe talked about was the nodding that goes on. Have you ever seen it between caregivers and their infants? There's just the entrancement. I mean, we all know that, right? Could be with your puppy or your kitten, but the sense of like just mesmerized fascination, right? We know that. So with what they began to notice was these rhythms of connection that people had, where you would just be like I'm doing it right now. There's a little bit like, yes, the resonating, right? When we're resonating with somebody, like try that out for yourself right now. Just like seeing me gently nod and just begin that little nodding inside you. Just let that tiny, I can feel my body just had a deep breath there, just like a little. All right. What happens in you? Can you see if you can bring that nod all the way down your spine? Not just have it be like here in your head, but just bringing it all the way down. Like, can you feel that in your shoulders? As you're nodding your head gently, can you feel what happens in here? Bringing your attention there to seeing what happens in your shoulders if you nod. Like imagine also your shoulders nodding, like just gently up and down. What happens if they kind of release a little tension and nod? I'm having a little trouble coordinating inside myself. Nodding. It's like a little tiny shake. Now, this is actually a really good practice for the times when you feel kind of frozen and stiff. Initiating small movements like that is really helpful. So if you just feel like that little nodding, and then see, like, can that nod extend even further, like down into your belly? Can you feel the resonance, how that ripples down into your belly? And in fact, we can take that little nodding and the research around that and just like drop your whole chin down into your chest. Oh gosh, it feels kind of my neck and shoulders right there. I don't know about you. You do the little curl up and then you bring your head up, right? Do it slowly so you don't, override anything, but just dropping your head down and bringing it up. This is the act of saying yes to life, And, frankly, when we're in this mess that we're in the world right now, it's also about saying yes to transformation. It's yes to the disruption. I mean, it's here. There's nothing we can do. So instead of pushing it away, it's like, okay, yes, So you can bring your whole body down and curling your back. And those of you who have done yoga often have that experience. We do the cat and the dog, and then just stretch out, opening up. Wow. And see, as I do that, I don't know about you, but as I pull back, it's like my spine goes this way. I'm not sure what the right language is, but I can feel the stretch all in there, right? Rotating and curling in, and then saying, I don't want to be curled in. I want to express, be open, be present here in this moment so that I can be with whatever comes up. And that's what we need. We need you. We need all of us, because this is a time of tremendous upheaval. So we need everybody here as fully present as we can possibly be, so that we need our body, we need our mind, and we need our heart to be here as much as we can. So whatever you can do to just be welcoming this moment, bringing in a certain sense of willingness to be present, so important, right? Because I don't know about you, certainly when I'm in that, I don't always love it. In fact, often I wish it was not that way. And I have to retrain myself over and over and over again into being willing to be in this moment and open to what is coming through and the possibility that's there. Somebody said to me in one of their comments that they wrote, they said that they've heard me talk about healing trauma as a modern day bodhisattva training, meaning somebody who transformed suffering into compassion. And this is so true. But it's not like a big event. It's like small, steady steps that get us there. And we have to be able to calm the anxiety and the stress that we're in, so that our whole system, not just our nervous system, but our mind is alive. Our heart is open to what can possibly be. And that's where wisdom starts channeling from inside. We have the wisdom. We are connected to everything, everywhere, all the time. We are this intertwined universe, interconnected. I mean, some of the research of the neuroscientists is pretty crazy about how much we are connected. Many of you have heard about the mirror neurons that were discovered, maybe about 10 years now. There's also the motor neurons that Vittorio Galesi in Italy is also talking about. Very interesting stuff, but about how much we're connected, how there is not the separation that we think. We are absorbing each other. Oh gosh, when I think about the virus, that's certainly what's happening right there. There's just so much. But the reality is we can choose what we want to be absorbed to psychologically and emotionally. That's where we have some choice. Marcy's saying we are the universe. So true. Right on, right? Marcy, that is what it is. We are part of it. The ancient wisdom traditions talk about there is no separation. There is no separation. We are all part of the one. So if that's true, we get to be absorbing all of that, but we get to also choose how we want to take that material in and roll it through, so that we are actually transforming ourselves. One of my meditation teachers from long ago, Lapsang, who now heads the Jhamsi orphanage in northern India, beautiful human being. And I didn't know he had a trauma history until one day after teaching us, he told us he was going to be leaving us. He had felt this calling to go back and help the people that he had, the communities in which he grew up in, which he was part of, that he didn't have family and nurturance and care. And so he wanted to change that and build an orphanage of love and compassion and kindness and education and knowledge, so these kids could develop and thrive instead of being orphaned. Anyway, that's a long story. I didn't know that he had trauma in his history until he started telling us this. But what I knew is that he understood trauma. more than any other meditation teacher I talked to at that point, because he really exemplified it. One of the things he said to us is our bodies, our hearts are designed, he said, to be a washing machine, to take in what isn't really helpful and let our bodies work it through and clean it so we can bring out something more powerful, healthful, satisfying. And if we think about this in terms of this new world that we're living in, is how do we take in what is so distressing and overwhelming and help clean it inside of ourselves? We become the washing machine. We become the transformative agent inside, so that we can offer ourselves in the best possible way to ourselves and to the world. We can be there in the support for the world. But the question always is, like, we feel like I'm so overstuffed with life already. How can I take in more? Our task is learning how to let go of the old, let go of that old stuff that doesn't work. I think it was yesterday I did the Bastrika breath, which is a cleaning breath and allows us to let go of something. We can use all those I'll be giving more and more. I'll do I'm doing these daily to little tips on how to get through, so that we can have more access. When we release the old pattern, the old stuff that's stuffing us, or the fear patterns, the threat patterns, we access something else. We shift out of the lower centers of our being, the ones where we're frightened and terrified, or the fuel of our old patterns that are running us, or the will and the push, and we actually enter our heart and we allow some digestion to happen. And that digestion opens us up to something new. And then we have some room. We have more room inside of ourselves. Then we get to choose. We get to choose, okay, I don't have to live in fear all the time, right? I can take these signals of fear or anxiety or stress coming from outside, pause, let my body sort it through. Somebody on I think the call yesterday posted that this sure takes a lot of mindfulness. And I thought, yeah, it really does. It really does. But we don't have to be intimidated by that, because that kind of mindfulness we can cultivate in moment to moment. We can do it in 3 minutes here, 5 minutes here, 7 minutes, 20 minutes later. It doesn't matter. It's not like we have to sit on the cushion all the time. That does help. But we also know people who've done that for a long time and haven't really changed these fundamental patterns, because they've been what we used to call, when I lived in the ashram, prematurely transcending, shifting over what's going on so they don't have to feel. And so if you can just stay present and be with the good and the bad and the indifferent, you're going to be much better off. Now, what this means in yoga, we have the practice of SoHum. SoHum is I am. But when we think of it, it's I am everything. I am everything. I am this turmoil right now. I am this distress. I am this chaos. Or as Thich Nhat Hanh says it so beautifully in his poem, I am the robber and I am the person being robbed. I'm both, right? I am both. So the question is, how do I welcome both? How do I welcome all of this instead of running away from it? How do I say, okay, let me trust and open and surrender and let this move in and through and around me and not stick to me? So that as I practice those skills, I get to choose what I want sticking to me versus what is just naturally sticking to me. If this things sticking to me are negative, I'm just going to collapse into a negative heap, right? But if I'm willing to say, okay, I want, out of all this evidence out there, I am going to welcome all of it in, but I am going to savor the good. I'm going to savor kindness. I'm going to find evidence for things working rather than things falling apart. As I attune that, welcome that, and like Donna's saying, trust, right? It is a big word, huge word, but if we can, just in small ways, like I'm going to trust, I'm going to breathe. The next breath is coming in. simple little things. Like, we don't have to go to the concept, this like big, lofty thing. It's no small. Trust that I can do this next thing. Trust that I can, whatever it might be, small, steady steps. Gwen's asking, how do I be a calming presence to myself instead of a forcing presence comes to my mind, and being kinder to myself? Yes, for sure. The question is, how do we do that, and how do we practice it moment to moment? Practice it moment to moment so that we can actually develop that muscle instead of the old. Because we know, I've been doing a lot of reading of the research around uncertainty and what that's like, and just how in an ambiguous or unpredictable situation, our brain is going to look for cues in the world. But what it does is we look for cues based on what happened in the past. So if we had an uncertain past, that uncertain past is going to be projected into the future, and that's what we're looking for. We call this experiential blindness. If this is my experience, a lot of uncertainty or a lot of bad stuff happening, I am cued for looking for that uncertainty and that badness here. So my task, your task, all of our task is, how do I begin to cue myself to see the other stuff instead of what my past has programmed me to see? And this is the practice of a lifetime. And that's why I really talk about the trauma. This life that we're in right now is a healing, and it is a modern day bodhisattva training. It is moment to moment training of our mind, our heart, our body to move in the direction we want to do, to harness all that energy that's part of just being a human being, harness that intensity and say, okay, I'm going to direct it in this direction rather than in the old destructive ways. And we are all doing this moment to moment in little ways. And I would so welcome you to post all the ways that you're revectoring yourself. And, Donna's saying this really good point. I'm trying to do this, but every cell in my body sends up red flags. Now, this is a beautiful, beautiful and true comment, Donna, right? Because our bodies are programmed. If you've had red flags going up in life in your past, your body is going to know red flags now. Your body's programmed for that. It's like, those of you who are my age, you might remember jukeboxes. Do you know that you go in someplace and you put in, it used to be a quarter. I have no idea what it is now. You put in some money and you hit B6 or whatever it is. And B6 is, I don't know, Elvis playing I'm a Hound Dog, right? So you're playing I'm a hound, whatever it is. I can't say it. So the hound dog comes up. That's your program to do that every time you do that when you're in life hitting B6. So our task is to say, okay, that's the program. That's the pattern that's running me. What if we then hit C17, and that's Van Morrison singing You Are So Beautiful, right? And what if we're like, oh, wow, that's what life is about. I want this mirror image of myself to know that I'm so beautiful versus the other. So it takes that retraining the red flag. It takes, as Donna's saying, stopping in the moment, feeling the red flag in our body, and just recognize, oh my God, here's a red flag. Here it is. This is it. This is how it shows up. This is how it shows up. And we have to, and this is the training of the body, mind, and heart. Instead of reacting, that red flag coming up and being in the reaction, it's like, whew, taking that red flag back in. And this is hard work. So I don't mean to oversimplify it, but this is a process. We drop in, feel our belly, feel our spine. This, you just name it. It's mindfulness, naming it. Here's the red flag. Here's the red flag. Here's the red flag. You just focus on that so that everything else starts fading away. And your body will start calming a little bit down. And the more you do this, the more your body calms. Is this what you find? Any of you? Is you find that? It takes work. But then when we name it, oh, here's the red flag. Here's the red flag. We could say another really self-compassionate thing to say is, this is the way my body is programmed. This is what my body knows from my history and from our cultural history, is like, this is how my body knows how to react. But I'm going to start training my body and my heart to actually have a calmer way of life, to have a more easeful way of life right here and right now. So I'm going to deliberately start training myself to have a different experience, training my body and my heart to have a different experience. And I can tell you, I know this really well. I'll tell you that I don't know how long ago it was, I was noticing that I was under a lot of stress a lot because I was traveling a lot and I was like on and doing something. I was like, wow, I don't know how to not live a life of just, moving forward. And I thought, what would that be like to be able to live with ease? And so Donna's saying, you sure this is possible? Say, Donna, I know from my own experience and from people I've worked with, and in fact, from what I've heard from people like you say, I know it is possible, but it's taking the big things and making them smaller and smaller so they're more digestible, right? And what happened in my life is I had to learn how to live with ease. What would that be like? What would my muscles feel like? What would my heart, if it were living with more ease, what would it be like to have easy thoughts? I really like training at that level. Annie's saying, this definitely sounds familiar. You'll have to tell us more, Annie, what's resonating with you. It is definitely, it is the journey. There's no other way around it. We can't not do it. This is the path, and right now it's like majorly disruptive. We're all in this, right? Nobody's not in this. There's no place that appears to hide. So the question is, we're brought back on ourselves. And I say, okay, how in this moment when it's so, do I stay solid, steady, and build that secure base inside myself? Well, I've gone on a lot longer than I thought it would. I hope it was helpful, everybody. So practice nodding. This is what you're saying. Yes, this is helpful, Deirdre. You just practice nodding now with me. Yeah. Right. And so do that for homework. As you go through the day, when somebody's talking to you, it's like, how do you nod? How do you nod for what you want and feel that movement in your spine and your belly? And let yourself just take it in. Taking it in, right? Let your body just accept this and welcome this moment. And the scary stuff, it's like you can just say, yes, I see you. Yes, I see you. Yes, I hear you. And right now I'm going to turn towards something that's a little bit softer or calmer, because the other stuff, the fear-based stuff, will definitely be there. We're in this for the long haul. This is not going away soon. So how to be there and welcome it and keep building up the reservoir of love and compassion in your heart and in your body and in your mind, so that you are much more able to be with life in whatever way that it's going to show to you, because it's all showing it to us in many different ways, as we know. All right, loves. Sending you a lot of love.